The road was empty for miles. Cold air sat over the blacktop like a thin layer of glass. The only light came from the moon and a few far-off porch lamps. Then the night made a sound that did not belong. Was not thunder. Was a tearing sound, like fabric ripping. A bright green line opened in the air above the road. It widened fast. It did not look like fire. It looked like space itself was being pulled apart. A man fell out of it. He hit the ground on one knee, one hand down, like he had practiced the landing. His coat was long and dark. His hair was black and slicked back. His eyes flashed with anger first, then sharp focus. He looked up at the sky. No rainbow bridge, no gold towers, no bright, clean Asgard air. Only trees, power lines, a cheap road sign, and the smell of gasoline from nowhere he could see. The man stood up slowly. He brushed dirt from his sleeve like it was an insult. He held his hand out. Green light curled around his fingers. The light obeyed him. That was good. He tried again, smaller. A thin green thread snapped into the air and vanished. He frowned. It was like the world here did not connect the way he expected. Like the rules had extra locks. He did not panic. He smiled, but the smile was tight. "Interesting," he said to nobody. A truck came around the bend. Old, loud, and too fast for the empty road. The driver saw the green glow and slammed the brakes. Tires screamed. The truck stopped sideways. The driver leaned out the window with wide eyes. "What the—" The man stepped closer. He lifted one hand, palm open, not threatening. He made his voice smooth, warm, and sure. "Apologies," he said. "A small accident. I require a device." "A device?" the driver said, still staring. The man pointed at the phone in the driver's hand. He had seen these before. Different worlds always had some version. The driver looked down at it like he forgot he was holding it. Then he looked back up. "You're dressed like a—" The man's eyes flicked to the man's name tag. It said, Gary. He softened his face. He added a little charm, like turning a knob. "Gary," he said, as if they were old friends. "You seem like a reasonable man. I will return it. I only need one call." Gary blinked. His grip on the phone loosened without him noticing. He handed it over. The man took it gently. The screen was cracked. He frowned again, offended by bad craftsmanship. He tapped the glass once. Green light ran across it like water. The crack sealed. The screen turned perfect. Gary's mouth fell open. The man looked pleased for half a second. Then the phone showed one bar. Then none. No signal. The man's smile vanished. He turned the phone in his hand, like he could scare it into working. Nothing. He gave it back to Gary, polite again. "You may go." Gary did not move. The man sighed. He snapped his fingers. A copy of himself appeared beside him. Same face, same coat. The copy walked to the truck and waved. Gary yelped, shoved the truck into gear, and sped off. The copy vanished the moment the truck's taillights disappeared. The man stood alone again. He breathed out once, slow, controlled. "Fine," he said. "Then I improvise." Headlights cut across the road behind him. A black car rolled up, older, loud in a way that sounded proud. It stopped too close. A door opened hard. Two men got out. One was taller. Broad shoulders, leather jacket. He walked like he was ready to punch the night. The other was taller and leaner, with long hair and a worried face. He carried a bag and looked like his brain never stopped moving. The broad one looked at the green scorch mark in the air where the tear had been. Then he looked at the man. "Okay," he said. "Either you're the weirdest hitchhiker ever, or you're our problem." The lean one stepped forward a little. "We got a call about a light. Then we saw a truck almost crash. Are you hurt?" The man studied them. He read them fast. The leather jacket one had anger, fear, and protectiveness all mixed together, like a guard dog with a gun. The other had empathy, but also caution, like a doctor who knows where the knives are kept. The man chose a name that was true, and also a weapon. The truth could be bent later if needed. "I am Loki," he said, with the smallest bow. Leather Jacket snorted. "Yeah, I'm Batman." Loki's eyes narrowed. He did not know who Batman was, but he understood mockery. The lean one didn't laugh. "Loki, like the Norse god." Loki's smile returned, a little sharper. "You have heard of me." Leather Jacket lifted a knife from his belt, quick and casual, like it was nothing. "I've heard of a lot of things. Most of them try to kill us." The lean one said, "Dean. Dean." Loki filed the name away. Loki raised his hands again, calm. "You are armed. So am I. But I'm not your enemy. Not tonight." Dean stepped closer anyway. "Funny. That's what enemies say." Loki flicked his wrist. The knife in Dean's hand turned into a small rubber chicken. It squeaked when Dean squeezed it by accident. Dean froze. His face went flat. "Oh, you." The lean one stared, shocked, then half laughed like he couldn't help it. "Dean, it's—" Dean snapped the rubber chicken in half. "I don't care what it is." Loki lifted a finger, like a teacher correcting a student. "If you wish to be taken seriously, you should not bring toys." Dean lunged. Loki didn't move back. He blurred to the side. It looked like he slid through the air without walking. Dean's grab hit nothing. Loki reappeared behind Dean, close enough to whisper. "You are brave," Loki said. And loud. Dean spun, knife back in his hand again, real this time. Loki didn't flinch. He only smiled. The lean one stepped between them, hands up. "Okay, stop. Both of you. I'm Sam." Sam. Loki filed the second name. Sam looked Loki up and down. "What are you?" Loki glanced at the trees, the road. The broken night. He did not want to answer that out loud yet. "I am stranded," he said instead. "And you are clearly not ordinary men." Dean scoffed. "Yeah, we're accountants." Sam's eyes stayed on Loki. "This isn't normal magic. If it's a trick—" Dean drew a line of salt from a shaker like he'd done it 1,000 times. He poured it across the road in one clean stripe. Loki stepped forward without thinking. His boot reached the salt line. Something in him paused. It wasn't pain. It wasn't burning. It was like his skin felt a warning. Like the world whispered. Boundary. Loki stopped with his boot inches from the salt. His eyes flicked down. Then up. A new respect and a new irritation. "That," Loki said, "is rude." Dean's mouth curled. "It's smart." Sam looked confused. "Salt stops. Not him," Dean said. "But it might mess with whatever he is." Loki stared at the salt, then at Dean. "You believe you can draw a line and command me to stop." Dean said, "Works on a lot of things." Loki's eyes warmed with anger for half a second. Then he smiled again, bright and false. "Then you will enjoy this," Loki said. He snapped his fingers. 5 Lokis appeared around them in a circle, all real-looking, all smiling. Dean lifted his knife toward one. Sam swallowed hard. The Loki spoke in the same voice, layered. "Pick the correct one." Dean's jaw tightened. "Sam." Sam's hand went into his bag and came out with a small bottle. Holy water. He flicked it toward the nearest Loki. The water passed through like mist. The Loki shimmered and vanished. Dean threw his knife at another. It hit nothing. Another vanished. 2 more vanished with a blink. The last Loki stood right in front of them again, same as the first. He had been there the whole time. Sam's breath came out fast. "Okay, so, illusions," Dean said, "or cloning. Or whatever weird crap he does. Loki tilted his head. Your world has rules. I can work with rules. Dean looked like he wanted to punch that sentence. Then the air behind Loki changed. It wasn't green this time. It was a cold rush, like a door opened into a freezer. A man in a trench coat appeared out of nowhere, standing too still. His eyes were serious and bright. His face looked human, but the space around him felt heavy. Loki turned slowly. He could sense power. Not Asgardian power. Not like Odin. Different. Older in a strange way. The trenchcoat man stared at Loki, not blinking. You are not from this world, the man said. Dean stepped back a little without meaning to. Cass, the man didn't look away. You are not from this creation, he said, like the word meant something big. What are you? Loki met the man's eyes and realized something important. This was not a hunter. This was something that could tear Loki apart if it chose to. And Loki, for the first time since he fell, felt truly interested. Loki smiled, slow and careful. I could ask you the same, he said. Dean did not like the way the trenchcoat guy looked at the stranger. Castiel, had a stare that usually meant one of two things. Either he was about to help, or he was about to smite. Dean didn't want either one right now. Not until Dean understood what the hell was happening. They got the stranger moving with a mix of threats and careful words. It wasn't easy. The guy called himself Loki, like it was normal. Dean still didn't buy it. Dean had met witches, ghosts, demons, and one very annoying pagan god. None of them introduced themselves like they were on a throne. But the guy's magic was real. Dean had held a rubber chicken that used to be a knife. That was not a normal Tuesday. So Dean played it like a hunt. He got Loki into the car in the back seat. Dean drove. Sam rode shotgun. Castiel followed in the back with Loki, quiet as stone. The Impala felt smaller with Loki inside it, like the air was crowded. Loki looked at the dashboard with interest. He ran a finger over the radio dial. This is charming. Dean gripped the wheel harder. Don't touch my car. Loki's eyes moved to Dean's face in the rearview mirror. He smiled like he had just been told a joke. Your attachment is noted. Sam tried the calm approach. Where are you from? Loki leaned back. Far. Sam frowned. Like, another country? Loki's smile widened. Another place. Dean muttered. Great. That narrows it down. Castiel finally spoke. I sensed a rupture, a tear in the fabric of this world. Dean said, Yeah, I saw the green fireworks too. Castiel didn't react to the joke. He never did. It was not a spell I recognize. It was not angelic. Loki turned his head toward Castiel. His voice stayed polite, but his eyes sharpened. And you are? Castiel said. I am an angel of the Lord. Sam glanced back. He tried not to show how big that sentence still felt sometimes, even after everything. Loki's eyebrows lifted just a little. Not fear. Interest again. An angel. Dean watched Loki's face in the mirror. He didn't see shock. He didn't see worship. He saw calculation. Dean hated that. They took Loki to the safest place they had. The bunker. The Men of Letters bunker was underground, cold and thick with wards. It was the closest thing Dean had to a fortress. It was also the only place with books that could answer insane questions. The steel door groaned open. Loki stepped inside and paused. He looked around like a man walking into a museum. His eyes tracked the carvings on the walls, the symbols, the iron lines built into the place. He reached out like he wanted to touch the warding. Dean slapped his hand away. Hands to yourself, Dean said. Loki looked offended, but he didn't fight it. This is well made, he said. You have artisans here, Dean said. We have paranoid dead guys with too much free time. Sam dropped his bag on a table and started pulling out supplies. We need to figure out what he is. Loki leaned on the table like he owned it. I told you. Dean said. You told us a name. Sam held up a small vial. Holy water. Loki's eyes flicked to it. He did not flinch. If that burns me, I will be disappointed, Dean said. Trust me, buddy. I'll be thrilled. Sam splashed a small amount on Loki's hand. Nothing happened. No smoke. No hiss. No burn. Loki looked at the wet spot like it was boring. There. Dean frowned. Could be a trick. Loki rolled his eyes. Everything is a trick to you. Sam tried iron next. He pressed cold iron to Loki's skin. Nothing. Dean tried a silver blade near Loki's wrist, watching for a reaction. Nothing. Castiel did not move. He watched in silence, like he was listening to something under Loki's skin. Sam pulled an EMF meter out and waved it near Loki. The needle wobbled a bit, then steadied, like it didn't know what to do. Not a ghost, Sam said. Dean said, not a demon. Sam nodded. Not a normal witch. Dean stared at Loki. So what are you? Loki's posture straightened. He lifted his chin, proud. I am Loki. Dean threw his hands up. Okay, I'm going to throw you into a wall. Sam cut in fast. Okay, give us the short version. 3 parts. Where you came from, why you're here, and what you want. Loki's eyes flicked to Sam, then to Dean, then to Castiel. He made a small sound, like he was deciding which story version to use. He chose something half-true. I was born into a royal house, he said. I learned politics before I learned kindness. I learned magic because power is useful, Dean said. That's one. I have enemies, Loki continued, and family. Sometimes those are the same. Sam's face tightened. He understood that in his own way. And I am here, Loki finished, because something tore me from my path. I did not plan it, but I will use it. Dean said, and what do you want? Loki looked around the bunker again. He smiled, but it was not warm. It was hungry. I want to understand your world, he said, and I want a way home. Sam nodded slowly. Okay, that's something, Dean said. And if you can't go home, Loki held Dean's stare. Then I will build something else. That answer landed like a rock in Dean's chest. Castiel spoke, quiet but firm. His presence is wrong, not evil. Wrong, like a foreign note in a song. Dean looked at Castiel. Can you send him back? Castiel didn't answer right away. That was also an answer. I do not know where he belongs, Castiel said. And I do not know what force brought him. Loki's eyes brightened again. A mystery, he said. Good. Dean pointed at him. Don't say good, like this is a game. Loki lifted both hands. Everything is a game. You simply refuse to admit you play. Sam opened a book and started flipping through. There might be something about rifts, world tiers, maybe in the Men of Letters archives. Loki leaned over Sam's shoulder, too close. You will need a better plan. You are acting without structure, Dean said. Oh my God. Loki straightened and started pacing, like he was on a stage. Listen. You, he pointed at Sam, are the scholar. You collect facts. You, he pointed at Dean, are the blade. You strike, you threaten, you guard. And you, he looked at Castiel, are the weapon that thinks it is a shield. Castiel stared. I'm not a weapon, Loki smiled. That is what makes you dangerous. Dean stepped between Loki and Sam. Stop assigning us roles. Loki's grin turned playful. But you are already in them. Sam shut the book hard. Enough. If you want help, you do it our way. No mind tricks. No disappearing. No making Dean's weapons into barnyard animals. Loki put a hand to his chest like he was wounded. It was a chicken. Dean pointed at him again. Don't. For a moment, Loki's face changed. The smile slipped. Something tired sat behind his eyes, like a man who had run out of places to stand. Then the mask came back. Very well, Loki said. Your way. For now. Dean didn't like for now. They set rules. Loki stayed inside the bunker unless one of them was with him. No secret doors, no magic in Dean's face, no touching the warded walls. Loki agreed too quickly. Dean trusted that about as much as he trusted a demon in church. Sam spent hours with books, trying to find any mention of green tears or strangers falling out of the sky. Castiel stood still in the war room sometimes, like he was listening to distant radio. Dean watched Loki like a loaded gun with a smile. Loki watched back. He drifted through the bunker like a man who had been bored for a long time. He studied every symbol. He traced ward lines with his eyes. He asked questions like needles. "What are your monsters?" he asked Sam once. Sam answered, "Careful. Too many." Loki nodded, almost pleased. "A world full of problems," he said. "That means a world full of leverage." Dean heard that and walked away, jaw tight. That night, while Sam slept at a desk and Dean drank bad coffee, Castiel spoke quietly to Dean. "There is a tension," Castiel said. Dean looked up. "From who?" Castiel's eyes stayed distant. "From below, and from above. His arrival is loud to beings who listen." Dean's stomach sank. "So what? Now Hell's throwing a welcome party?" Castiel's face didn't change. "Perhaps." Dean looked through the glass toward the library. Loki stood alone among shelves, hands behind his back, like he owned the room. Dean said, "He's going to get us killed." Castiel said, "Or, he will help you survive something worse." Dean snorted. "That's comforting." Castiel turned his head slightly. "You want to see him as only a threat." Dean didn't answer. "Because yes, that was easier." Deep in the bunker, Loki ran his fingers over a book spine. He could feel old magic in ink and paper. Not Asgardian. Not his. But real. He whispered under his breath. Too quiet for Sam or Dean to hear. "Show me your rules," he said, "and I will show you mine." Far away, in a place that did not have walls, a man sat at a small table. He wore a neat suit. He held a fork like it mattered. He ate as if the world could end, and he would still take his time. Death lifted his eyes from his food. He did not look surprised. He looked annoyed, the way you look when someone puts a wrong page in your book. He set his fork down. "A foreign thread," he said calmly. "That will tangle." And somewhere else, much warmer, much louder, a demon smiled into the dark. Crowley listened to a report from a shaking underling. "A man fell from the sky," the underling said. "He makes copies of himself. Green light, not angel, not witch like we've seen." Crowley's eyes narrowed with greedy interest. "Well," he said softly, "that sounds like an opportunity." The next morning, Dean got a call about strange deaths. A small town. People found dead with their mouths stretched in laughter. Eyes burned out. No sign of a normal fight. Dean stared at the picture Sam pulled up. Sam's voice was tight. "This looks like the trickster." Dean groaned. "No, no, no, no." Loki, sitting too comfortably at the table, leaned in. "The trickster?" Dean looked at him. "You don't get to have opinions." Loki's smile widened. "I am full of opinions." Sam said, "The trickster is a powerful being, uses pranks, illusions, makes people pay for their choices." Loki's eyes lit up like someone just said his favorite word. "Someone is doing theater." Dean sighed. "Of course you like him." Loki lifted a hand, offended. If someone is mimicking my craft, I should at least meet them. Dean snapped. Nobody is mimicking anything. You're not. Sam interrupted, fast. Dean, we need to handle this. If it is the trickster, he's dangerous. And Loki, Sam paused, choosing words, might help us understand what we're dealing with. Dean shot Sam a look that said, "You trust him now?" Sam didn't look away. His face said, "I trust the situation is worse without him." Dean hated that Sam was probably right. They drove out in the Impala again. Loki sat in the back like he was on a tour. He watched trees blur past and acted like he had never seen a forest. Dean kept glancing at the mirror. Loki caught him. "You watch me as if I will bite," Dean said. "You might." Loki tilted his head. "Then you should watch your throat." Dean gripped the wheel harder. Sam made a low warning sound. Loki smiled like he enjoyed the tension. Castiel rode with them this time, silent in the passenger seat. People stared at him at gas stations. Castiel stared back. The town was small, the kind of place where a diner had the same customers every morning. The kind of place where nobody expected magic. The bodies were already gone, but the scene still felt wrong. Dean stood in the middle of a living room where the first victim had died. A man had laughed until his heart gave out. It sounded absurd. It wasn't. The air still felt like something had pushed and bent reality. Sam checked for sulfur. Nothing. Dean checked for footprints. Too many. Normal ones. No clear answer. Loki walked around the room slowly, hands behind his back again. He touched nothing, but his eyes tracked every corner. "This place was dressed," Loki said. Dean looked at him. "Dressed?" Loki glanced at Dean like he was explaining something obvious. Someone staged it. Not just murder, a performance, fear, shame, a lesson. Sam frowned. "That sounds like the trickster." Loki nodded once. "And it sounds like someone who enjoys control." Dean's eyes narrowed. "So you?" Loki smiled. "I said enjoys control, not that they are good at it." Dean almost laughed. Almost. They followed the pattern. People died after secret sins were exposed in cruel, silly ways. A cheating husband, a bully, a man who stole from his church. Sam looked sick at the last one. "He's punishing them," Dean said. "Or entertaining himself." They got a lead. A witness saw a guy near the old movie theater last night. The theater had been closed for years. People said it was haunted. People always said that. The building sat on the edge of town, broken posters in the windows, dust everywhere. The doors chained shut. Dean cut the chain. "After you," Loki said, and gestured like a host, welcoming guests into a show. Dean shot him a glare and went in first. The theater smelled like rotten carpet and old popcorn. The air was cold. Castiel paused at the entrance, his eyes sharpened. "This is not a ghost." Dean muttered, "Great." They moved down the main hall. Their flashlights cut thin tunnels of light. Every step echoed too much. Then the lights turned on by themselves. Not flickering, not broken. Full bright. Sam froze. "Okay." Dean lifted his gun. "Show yourself." A voice came from the stage, loud and cheerful. "Ladies and gentlemen," it said. "Welcome." Spotlights snapped on. Dust glittered in the beams. The stage curtains pulled apart without anyone touching them. A man stood center stage in a white suit. He looked like he belonged in a casino, not a haunted theater. He smiled too wide. Loki's lips curled with interest. He leaned closer to Dean, whispering like a critic at a play. "Now this is style," Loki said. Dean hissed, "Shut up!" The man on stage clapped twice. The sound echoed like thunder. "Relax," the man said. "Nobody's dying today." "Probably." Sam shouted, "Who are you?" The man grinned. Call me Gabriel." Castiel's head snapped up. His whole posture changed. "No." Dean looked between them. "You know him?" Castiel's voice lowered. "He is an archangel." Dean's blood went cold. That's a big deal, Cass." Loki's eyes widened a fraction, then settled into a focused look, like a chess player seeing a new piece. Gabriel looked at Castiel and rolled his eyes. "Oh, great. You brought the trench coat?" Then Gabriel's eyes slid to Loki. For a second, Gabriel's smile changed. It became curious. Sharp. "Well," Gabriel said, "you're new." Loki stepped forward. His voice stayed smooth. "And you are a local." Gabriel laughed. "I like him." Dean stepped in front of Loki. "Nobody likes him." Loki leaned around Dean's shoulder. "Your friend thinks he owns the word trick." Gabriel put a hand to his chest in fake pain. "Oh, honey, I don't own it. I invented half of it." Sam whispered to Dean, "If he's an archangel, we can't fight him." Dean whispered back, "We've fought worse." Sam's eyes said, "That is not true." Gabriel snapped his fingers. Dean's gun turned into a water pistol. It squirted a sad little stream when Dean pulled the trigger by reflex. Dean stared at it, furious. "Are you kidding me?" Gabriel smiled. "Language." Loki didn't look scared. He looked irritated, like someone interrupted his entrance. "I assume you are responsible for the deaths," Loki said. Gabriel shrugged. "They had it coming." Sam said, "They didn't deserve to die." Gabriel's smile thinned for a moment. Then it came back. "Aw, Sammy. Still adorable?" Dean bristled. "Don't call him that." Gabriel waved a hand. The theater seats suddenly filled with mannequins dressed like an audience. Their heads all turned toward Dean at the same time. Dean's skin crawled. Loki's eyes gleamed. "You can shape the room," Loki said. Gabriel spread his arms. "I can shape a lot more than the room." Loki's smile turned sharp. "So can I." Dean turned his head fast. "No. No magic fight." Loki ignored him. Green light rolled over Loki's hands. It didn't explode. It formed. It moved with control. Loki flicked his wrist. The stage floor shimmered. A second Loki appeared beside him. Then a third. Then 5. They spread out in a wide fan, each one moving differently. Some walked. Some stood still. One leaned like he was bored. Gabriel blinked once, impressed in spite of himself. "Cute." Loki spoke, and all 5 spoke with him, the sound layered and strong. "You play with mortals for amusement. That is small." Gabriel's smile went hard. "Careful." Loki stepped forward and vanished. He reappeared above the stage, hanging in the air like gravity was optional. Green magic held him there. He threw his hand down. A net of green light dropped toward Gabriel. Gabriel didn't dodge. He didn't need to. He snapped his fingers. The green net turned into a shower of glitter. It rained down, sparkling. Dean stared. "Holy," Sam whispered. "He just changed it." Castiel lifted a hand, ready to strike. "Gabriel, stop." Gabriel looked at Castiel without turning his head. "Pause." Castiel froze. Not like he chose to. Not like he was stunned. Like someone hit a switch. Castiel stood perfectly still, eyes open, hand raised, trapped in the moment. Dean's stomach dropped. "Cass!" Loki's eyes narrowed. That was not an illusion. That was raw control. Gabriel looked back at Loki. "This is my sandbox," he said. "You don't get to make rules here." Loki's face stayed calm, but his eyes sharpened with real anger. He moved again, fast. He split into copies mid-step. The copies blurred around Gabriel like a swarm. Each Loki threw a different spell. Light flashes. Hard edges of green. Gabriel lifted one hand. The air turned thick. The Lokis hit an invisible wall and stopped short, like the world itself said no. One Loki smiled anyway. You're strong. Gabriel tilted his head. You're mouthy. Loki's smile became something colder. I have fought kings. Gabriel's eyes flashed. I have watched kings beg. Dean pulled Sam back, away from the stage. We need an exit. Sam's voice shook. There isn't one. The theater doors were gone. In their place was a brick wall like it had always been there. Dean's face twisted. Of course, Loki saw it too. He didn't panic. He adjusted. He changed tactics. Instead of trying to overpower Gabriel, Loki aimed for the thing he was best at. People. Loki let his copies collapse into one. He landed on the stage, closer now. Not attacking. Talking. You hide, Loki said. You wear jokes like armor. Gabriel's smile flickered. Ah, so you're a therapist too. Loki kept going. He walked in a slow circle, like he was drawing focus. You punish humans to feel less alone, because if you stop moving, you must hear the quiet. Gabriel's eyes narrowed. Stop. Dean felt his arms go cold. Loki was poking something deep. Dean didn't even know Loki could see that kind of thing. Loki's voice stayed calm. You call yourself trickster, but that is not what you are. Gabriel's jaw tightened. Sam whispered, Dean, how does he know? Dean didn't answer. He didn't know. Loki stopped walking. He looked Gabriel right in the face. You are an angel who ran, Loki said. You ran from duty, from family, from a war you did not want. Gabriel's smile cracked. Not much, just enough. The lights above the stage flickered. The mannequins in the seats twitched, like Gabriel's control slipped for half a breath. Dean saw it. Sam saw it. Even Loki saw it. Loki didn't press with power. He pressed with truth. You are bored, Loki said softly, and you are afraid. Gabriel's eyes went sharp and dangerous. The air snapped. Okay, Gabriel said, voice low. That's enough out of you. The stage vanished. Dean's feet hit wood, then nothing, then wood again. The whole room twisted like a deck of cards being shuffled. Suddenly, Dean stood in a bright high school hallway. Lockers, fluorescent lights, a loud bell. Sam stood beside him, blinking. What the? Dean looked down. He was wearing a Letterman jacket. No. 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 A group of teenagers walked by and laughed at Dean like he was the loser kid in a bad movie. Dean turned to yell at Loki, but Loki wasn't there. Sam grabbed Dean's arm. Dean, focus! It's a trick, Dean said. Yeah, no kidding. Across the hall, Loki appeared near a trophy case. He looked around, annoyed. This is pathetic, Loki said. Gabriel's voice came from everywhere at once. Welcome to my greatest hits. Loki touched the air, and green light spread. The hallway shimmered, like a painted wall getting wet. Loki was pushing back. He couldn't break Gabriel's world. Not fully. But he could see the seams. He stepped through a shimmer, and the hallway popped into a motel room, then into the theater again. Loki had forced a path. Dean stared, breath hard. How? Loki didn't look at him. He wants attention, Loki said. So do not give it to his tricks. Give it to his choices. Gabriel appeared on the stage again, slow clapping. Look at you. You're learning. Loki tilted his head. And you are slipping. Gabriel's smile returned, but it had less humor now. You're cute when you think you're winning. Loki didn't pretend. I am not winning. Dean blinked. That was the first honest sentence Dean had heard from him. Loki continued, calm and cutting. But you are not either, because you have shown your hand. Gabriel's eyes narrowed. Oh? Loki lifted a finger. You don't want to kill them? He nodded at Sam and Dean. You want them to see you. Gabriel's smile faltered again, tiny. A pain flashed behind it. Then Gabriel snapped his fingers. Castiel unfroze and stumbled half a step like time caught up with him. He looked furious, but also wary. Gabriel sighed, like a man tired of a conversation. All right. Fun's over. The theater lights dimmed. The mannequins vanished. The stage curtains fell. The doors reappeared on the far wall. Dean's heart slammed in his chest. He's letting us go? Gabriel looked at Dean and Sam. Go home, he said. Keep hunting. Keep bleeding. Keep pretending you're in control. Then he looked at Loki. His voice went quieter, more real. And you, Gabriel said, don't set up shop here like you own the place. This world eats kings. It burps up bones. Loki held Gabriel's gaze. He didn't bow. He didn't flinch. Then I will be careful where I sit. Gabriel's mouth twitched, almost amused. Kid, you don't even know what you are stepping into. Loki smiled, sharp again. I stepped into you, and you blinked. For a second, the air went still. Dean thought Gabriel might explode the whole building. But Gabriel didn't. He just looked at Loki like Loki was a puzzle he didn't want to solve yet. Then Gabriel vanished. No flash, no smoke, just gone. The theater felt empty at once, like the room lost its heartbeat. Dean exhaled. He didn't realize he was holding his breath. Sam's voice came out shaky. We should go. Castiel stared at the spot where Gabriel had been. He is unsettled, Castiel said, surprised. Dean shot Loki a look. What did you do? Loki's face was calm, but his eyes were bright with a dangerous kind of satisfaction. I spoke, Loki said simply. Outside, the sun was starting to rise. The town looked normal again. Birds, cars, a dog barking. Dean hated how normal it looked, because Dean could feel it. Something had changed. Back in a dark corner of the street, a man in a suit watched from inside a parked car with tinted windows. His eyes were red for a moment, then normal again. He lifted a phone. Yes, Crowley said into it, voice smooth as oil. It's real, and it's trouble. He smiled. And I want it. Far away, Death lifted his fork again and took another calm bite. He didn't hurry. He already knew this would end badly for someone. He just didn't know who yet. Dean drove back to the bunker like the road had personally offended him. The sun was up now. The town looked normal in the rearview mirror. That made it worse. Dean hated when big, dangerous things happened under a normal sky. Sam stared out the window for most of the ride. His face was tight. He was thinking. He always did that when he was scared. Castiel sat still, like a statue in the passenger seat. His eyes were forward, but Dean could tell he was not really looking at the road. He was listening for heaven, the way a person listens for distant thunder. In the back seat, Loki sat like he belonged there. He watched the world pass by with a calm interest. Trees, signs, people at bus stops. He looked like a man reading a book in a language he did not speak yet. Dean kept checking the mirror. Loki caught him. You keep glancing at me, Loki said. Dean didn't look away. Yeah, I do. Loki smiled. Afraid I will disappear, Dean snorted. Afraid you'll do something worse. Loki's smile stayed, but his eyes cooled. Honest, he said. I respect that. Dean hated that the word respect came out of Loki's mouth like it meant something. Sam turned in his seat a little. About Gabriel, Sam said. He called you kid, like he knows what you are. Loki's face shifted just a bit, a small flash of annoyance. He assumes many things, Loki said. Castiel finally spoke. Gabriel is an archangel. If he is interested in you, it matters. Loki's gaze moved to Castiel. You are worried. Castiel's voice was flat, but there was weight under it. I am alert. Dean gripped the wheel. So what now? We just keep him in the bunker like a weird exchange student? Loki leaned forward between the seats, like he wanted to be part of the conversation. You keep saying him as if I am not here. Dean snapped. You're here. That's the problem. Sam cut in fast. Dean, stop. Loki? Sam paused, then said it carefully. If you really want a way home, we need facts. We need what brought you here. Loki leaned back again. I agree, he said. Facts. Structure. A plan. Dean muttered. Here we go. Loki smiled like he heard him. You two are brave, but you are not organized, he said. You chase fires. You do not build a map. Sam's mouth tightened. We build maps. We just don't have the same resources you do. Loki's eyes flicked to the road sign passing by. Then we will borrow resources, he said, like borrowing was always an option. Dean's stomach turned. That sounded like theft, or worse. Deals. The bunker door shut behind them with its usual heavy sound. Dean felt a small relief. The wards hummed in his mind like a safety net. But the relief did not last. Loki stepped inside and looked around again like he was studying a chessboard he wanted to flip. Sam headed straight to the library. He pulled books off shelves with both hands. He made piles. He tried to keep his breathing even. Dean watched Loki. Rule 1, Dean said. No mind stuff. Loki blinked. Mind stuff. Dean pointed at his own head. No messing with people's thoughts. Loki lifted his hands. I have not touched your mind. Dean said, You turned my knife into a chicken. Loki's face was offended again. It was a harmless demonstration. Dean stepped closer. Rule 2, no demonstrations. Sam called from the table. Dean, please. Dean forced himself to step back. He hated how tight his chest felt. He hated how much he wanted control. Loki watched him with a look that said he understood that feeling very well. Castiel stood near the war room map, still and quiet. Dean could tell he wanted to say something. When Castiel wanted to speak, it usually meant they were in trouble. Dean walked over. Cass, he said. Low. Are angels going to show up here? Castiel's eyes didn't move at first. Then he looked at Dean. Heaven is fractured, Castiel said. But there are still watchers. His arrival is an anomaly. It will pull attention. Dean swallowed. And hell? Castiel said. Hell listens too. Dean's jaw tightened. Great. Across the room, Loki picked up a book without asking. He read the title in a second, then opened it like he had been doing it his whole life. Sam noticed. Hey, Sam said. Careful with that. Loki didn't look up. Your books are old, Loki said. They smell like dust and secrets. Dean called. Put it down. Loki finally looked at him. You keep telling me what to do, Loki said. You are either very brave or very foolish. Dean's eyes narrowed. I'm alive. That's what I am. Loki's expression shifted for a moment. Something almost like respect again. Sam turned pages in a journal and spoke without looking up. Word is going to spread, Sam said. Hunters talk. Demons talk. Dean said, Hunters don't talk. Not if they're smart. Sam gave him a tired look. Hunters text. It's a thing now. Dean groaned. I hate it. Loki's mouth curled. So your little world has its own network, he said. Good. Dean snapped. That's not good. Loki tilted his head. Information is always good, he said. Sam's phone buzzed on the table like it heard them. Sam glanced at it. His face tightened. Jody, he said. She says there's chatter. People saw green magic in that town. Someone posted a blurry video. Dean swore under his breath. Of course they did. Loki leaned in again. May I see? Dean said. No. Sam hesitated. then angled the phone so Loki could only see from a distance. Sam didn't trust Loki, but Sam also couldn't resist data. The video was shaky. It showed the theater doors. It showed people running out, yelling. A flash of green for half a second. Nothing clear. Loki watched it once, then his eyes narrowed. "That was not my magic," Loki said. Dean barked a laugh. "Sure." Loki looked at him, annoyed. "I recognize my own craft," he said. "That green was a reaction, a spill, not choice." Sam's brow furrowed. "A spill from... what?" Loki's fingers tapped the table. "From power that was not meant to be in this place," he said. His voice went quieter. "From me being forced into your world." Castiel's head turned. Sharp. Forced. Loki met his gaze. "Yes," Loki said. "I did not open that tear on purpose." Dean didn't like that. If Loki didn't choose it, then someone else did. Or something else. Sam slowly sat down across from Loki. "Okay," Sam said. "Let's assume you're telling the truth. What would be strong enough to throw you between worlds?" Loki's eyes drifted away for half a second. "A great force," he said. "Or a great accident." Dean said, "That's helpful." Loki looked back at him. "You want simple answers," Loki said. "Simple answers are for simple worlds." Dean leaned forward. "This world has demons, angels, and a dude in a suit who can pause time," Dean said. "It's not simple." Loki's smile flashed. "Then you understand." Sam rubbed his forehead. "Okay," Sam said. "New plan. We keep you here. We research. We figure out what you are and how you got here. And we stop anyone else from finding you." Dean pointed at Sam. "We try," Dean corrected. Loki lifted one finger. "We succeed," he said. Dean stared. "You don't get to say, we." Loki's eyes stayed calm. "And yet," he said, "I am in your bunker." That night, the bunker felt louder than usual, even though it was quiet. Dean took first watch. He sat at the table with his gun, his knife, and a cheap cup of coffee that tasted like regret. Loki sat across from him without being asked. Dean didn't look up. "Go to bed." Loki's eyes tracked Dean's hands, the weapons, the tension. "You do not rest," Loki said. Dean said, "Yeah. Welcome to the job." Loki leaned back in the chair. "You think resting makes you weak," he said. "It does not. It makes you sharp." Dean glanced up. "And you're an expert on being sharp?" Loki's smile was small. "Yes," he said. "Until it cuts me." Dean didn't have a reply to that, and he hated it. Across the bunker, Castiel stood alone in a hallway, head slightly tilted, as if he was hearing something no one else could. There was a tightness in his face. He didn't like what he heard. In another part of the world, in a clean and expensive room, Crowley held a phone to his ear. His underling spoke fast. "The hunters took him underground," the demon said. "Warded place, deep." Crowley's eyes stayed on a glass of something dark. He swirled it without drinking. "Underground," he repeated, smiling. "Of course they did." "Should we attack?" the underling asked. Crowley sighed like the question bored him. "No," he said. "If you kick a hornet's nest, you get stung. If you offer the hornets sugar, they come to you." The demon hesitated. "So, we invite him?" Crowley's smile widened. "Exactly," he said. "We invite our guest. We use manners, we use temptation, and we bring backup anyway." He lowered the phone and spoke to the empty room like it was listening. "A foreign god," Crowley murmured. "In my world. How rude." He took a sip. "And how useful." A few floors above Hell's Noise, in a quiet place that felt like cold stone, Rowena McLeod drew a circle with chalk. Her hair was red like fire. Her eyes were sharp like a blade. She held a small bone in her hand and whispered words that tasted of old magic. The chalk circle glowed faintly. Then it sparked green. Rowena's eyes widened. "Oh," she said, smiling slowly. "That's not from around here." She leaned closer, curious and greedy. "Hello, darling," she whispered to the air. "Let's see what you are." Back in the bunker, Sam fell asleep with a book open on his chest. He didn't mean to. He just ran out of fight for the day. Loki watched him for a moment. Dean saw Loki looking and tensed. "Don't," Dean warned. Loki didn't move. "He trusts easily," Loki said. Dean shook his head. "No," Dean said. "He hopes. There's a difference." Loki's face softened for half a second, like the word hope was unfamiliar, but interesting. Then the bunker lights flickered. Not the normal bunker flicker. There was a blink like reality hiccuped. Dean stood fast, gun up. "Cass!" Castiel appeared in the doorway, eyes wide. "Someone is near," Castiel said. Loki stood too, calm but alert. "That was not me," Loki said, quick. Dean snapped, "I know." A sound came from the hallway, like a shoe scraping stone. Then a woman's voice floated in, bright and playful. "Boys," the voice called. "Oh, and Angel. And the shiny new one." Dean's blood went cold. "Rowena." Loki's eyes narrowed. "You know her?" Dean said, "She's a witch. A big one." Rowena stepped into the room like she was entering a party. She wore a nice coat and a smile that promised trouble. Her eyes landed on Loki and lit up. "There you are," Rowena said, pleased. "The green little mystery." Loki didn't bow. He didn't smile. He studied her like he studied a weapon. Rowena's gaze swept over him, taking in his posture, his confidence, the way he didn't flinch. "You're not a demon," she said. "Not an angel. Not a ghost. So what are you, love?" Dean raised his gun. "You broke into my bunker." Rowena waved a hand. "Oh, don't be dramatic," she said. "I knocked. Your wards simply didn't listen." Dean's face twisted. "That's not how wards work." Rowena's eyes sparkled. "Everything listens if you speak its language." Castiel stepped forward, power humming under his skin. "Leave," he said. Rowena smiled at him sweetly. "Hello, Castiel," she said, still doing the moral thing. How exhausting. Loki spoke finally. His voice was quiet and sharp. "You followed the scent of my magic," he said. Rowena laughed. "Of course," she said. "It's rare, it's bright, it's rude. It walked into my world and didn't introduce itself." Loki's eyes cooled. "You are here to take something." Rowena's smile widened. "Oh, love," she said. "Everyone is here to take something." Dean's finger tightened on the trigger. Sam woke with a start, confused and then alarmed. "Rowena," Rowena winked at him. "Hello, Sammy," she said. Sam sat up fast. "How did you get in here?" Rowena lifted her shoulders. "Skill," she said simply. Loki watched the exchange like he was learning the shape of their world. Rowena took one step toward Loki. Dean moved in front of her. "No," Rowena stopped, eyes narrowing. "You really think you can block me?" "Dean Winchester?" Dean said. "I can try." Rowena's gaze slid around him to Loki again. "I won't hurt you," she said to Loki, voice gentle now. "I want to talk. I want to understand." Loki's smile was thin. "Understanding is rarely free," he said. Rowena's laugh was soft. "Now you're speaking in my language," she said. Castiel's voice was stronger. "Rowena," he warned. Rowena held up both hands. "Fine," she said. "No tricks. Tonight?" Dean didn't believe her for a second, but he also knew something important. Rowena had found them. That meant others could too. Rowena tilted her head at Loki. "You want a way home?" she said, like she had plucked the thought right out of the room. Loki's eyes sharpened. "How do you know that?" Rowena smiled. Because nobody falls between worlds for fun, she said. And because your eyes keep looking for a door. Dean's throat tightened. He didn't like how close Rowena's words felt. Sam leaned forward. Do you know anything about rifts? He asked. Rowena's eyes slid to Sam. Oh, I know a few things, she said. I know your little men of letters loved doors. They loved keys. They loved maps. Loki's head turned slightly. Keys, he repeated. Rowena's smile turned sly. Yes, she said. Keys. Dean's gut told him where this was going. Rowena stepped back slowly. I'll make you a deal, she said. Information for a look. Dean snapped. No. Rowena sighed. Not a touch, she said. Just a glance. I want to see how your magic works. Loki's voice was calm. Why? Rowena's eyes flashed. Because I am alive, she said. And curiosity is what keeps me that way. Loki stared at her, measuring. Sam whispered to Dean, if she knows about men of letters doors, we need that info. Dean whispered back, we don't need Rowena. Sam's eyes said, we might. Loki spoke before Dean could decide. Speak, Loki said to Rowena. But choose your words carefully. Rowena's grin returned. There's a vault, she said. An old chapter house site, deep wards, hidden books, and one little ritual some men of letters wrote down that could make a window. Dean's chest tightened. A window to where? Rowena lifted one shoulder. Depends, she said. Hell, purgatory. Elsewhere. It's not safe. It's not neat. Loki's eyes gleamed. A window is a start. Castiel's gaze sharpened. A window can become a breach, he said. Rowena smiled at Castiel like he was cute. Yes, she said. That's the danger. And the thrill. Dean stepped forward. Why are you telling us this? Rowena's face went softer, almost honest. Because if you open that vault without me, she said, you'll die. And because if someone else opens it first, they'll use it. Dean thought of Crowley. He thought of demons in his bunker. He felt sick. Rowena turned toward the door. Think about it, she said lightly. If you want the location, you know how to reach me. Sam called. Why didn't you just take Loki? Rowena paused and glanced back. Her smile was bright and cold. Because I am smart, she said. And because even I don't steal from an angry angel and 2 angry Winchesters in their own fortress. Her eyes flicked to Loki. Yet, she added. Then she was gone, like smoke pulled into a crack. Dean's gun stayed raised for a long second after she left. Sam exhaled hard. She's right, Sam said. Someone will use this. Dean turned on Loki. And you want to use it too. Loki didn't deny it. Yes, he said. I want a door. Dean's voice went low. And what happens when you get it? Loki held Dean's gaze. I go where I choose, Loki said. Dean heard the truth in that. Not good, not evil. Choice. Loki wanted choice more than anything. Castiel looked at the hallway where Rowena had been. Rowena's interest means hell will also move, Castiel said. I felt ripples. Dean's phone buzzed again. He checked it. No name, no number. Just one word on the screen. Invitation. Then a second message appeared, like someone typed it into his skull. Neutral ground. Midnight. Come alone. Dean's stomach dropped. Crowley, he said. Sam's eyes widened. He knows. Loki leaned in, curious. Who is Crowley? Dean's face was tight. King of Hell, Dean said. Loki blinked once, slow. A king, he repeated, like he enjoyed the word. Dean snapped. Don't. Loki's smile returned anyway. This world is full of crowns, he said. How generous. Sam looked at Dean. We can't ignore it, Sam said. If Crowley knows, he'll act. Dean's jaw worked. He'll act either way. Castiel spoke, quiet. If you go, you should not go alone, he said. The message said alone. Crowley loved rules like that. Rules were traps. Loki's eyes moved from Dean to Sam. You want information, Loki said. Then you go. But you go prepared. Dean glared. We don't take orders from you. Loki's voice stayed calm. Then call it advice, he said. You are the blade. Your brother is the map. The angel is the hammer. And I? He smiled. I am the distraction. Dean hated that it made sense. Sam stared at the screen. Midnight, he said. That's in 4 hours. Dean looked at Loki. If Crowley wants you, he'll try to bait us, Dean said. He'll try to make you show up. Loki's eyes were bright. Then we should decide what we want him to see, Loki said. Dean's head throbbed. He could feel the plan forming, and he hated that Loki was good at this. They went anyway. Not alone. Not really. They drove to an abandoned roadside bar Crowley liked. The kind of place where neon signs still worked, but nobody was inside. The air smelled like beer and dust. Dean walked in first, gun hidden, but ready. Sam followed with a bag of salt and holy water. Castiel stayed outside, out of sight, like a shadow on purpose. Loki came last, hands loose, posture relaxed, like he was the host. Dean whispered, No magic, unless I say so. Loki whispered back, You are adorable when you pretend to be in charge. Dean almost punched him. Crowley was already inside, sitting at a table like he'd been there all day. He wore a nice suit. He held a glass. He looked bored. Boys, Crowley said, smiling, and you brought me a gift. His eyes slid to Loki. Crowley's smile widened. Oh, you are pretty, Crowley said. And green, how festive. Loki studied him. You stink of smoke and lies, Loki said. Crowley laughed. That's practically my slogan, he said. He stood and offered his hand to Loki. Crowley, king of hell. Loki did not shake. Loki, he said. Crowley blinked, amused. Well, aren't we bold? He said. Dean stepped in. We're not here to make friends. Crowley sighed. Dean, darling, he said. You never are. Sam said, What do you want? Crowley's gaze stayed on Loki. I want a conversation, he said. About opportunities. Loki's voice was light. Opportunities, he repeated. Crowley gestured to the chair. Sit, he said. Or don't. Either way, listen. Loki sat. Dean hated that Loki looked comfortable doing it. Crowley leaned forward. You're not from here, Crowley said. I can taste it. That tear you came through? It shook things. It woke interest. Loki's eyes narrowed. You know about the tear. Crowley's smile turned sharp. Of course, he said. Hell knows everything important. Eventually. Sam said, Stop talking around it. What do you want? Crowley spread his hands. Simple, he said. Work with me. You get resources, books, spellcrafters, a safe place, and maybe, his eyes glittered, maybe a path home. Dean's stomach tightened. He saw it. Crowley wasn't offering help. He was offering a leash made of gold. Loki leaned back. And what do you get? Loki asked. Crowley smiled. A partner, he said. A symbol. A god who makes my enemies sweat. Dean snapped. He's not your partner. Crowley glanced at Dean like Dean was a fly. I'm not asking you, Crowley said. Loki's smile was small. You want me to sit beside your throne, Loki said. So you can call me ally while you plan how to cage me. Crowley's smile didn't change, but his eyes sharpened. You wound me, Crowley said. I'm offended. Loki tilted his head. No, Loki said. You're entertained. Crowley laughed quietly. Okay, he said. You're fun. Sam watched Loki's face. He could see Loki liked this, not Crowley. The game. Sam said. We're not making deals. Crowley sighed. Then you're boring, he said. He looked at Loki again. But you get it. Loki's eyes stayed calm. What else do you know about doors? Loki asked, blunt. Crowley's smile widened like Loki just said the right word. Ah, Crowley said. Now we're talking. Dean's heart sank. Loki was already digging for keys. Crowley tapped the table once. There are doors everywhere, Crowley said. Crossroads, sigils, blood paths, old men of letters, vaults filled with little rituals. Sam stiffened. How do you know about those? Crowley shrugged. Because humans build secrets and demons steal them, he said. He smiled. And because I have friends in all the right places. Loki's voice was cool. Which vault? Loki asked. Crowley leaned in, close enough to smell like expensive cologne overwrought. Tell me what you are, Crowley whispered. And I'll tell you where the door is. Dean's hand tightened on his gun under the table. Loki smiled. I am Loki, he said again. And you want a name to bind me. Crowley's smile went thin. Names matter, Crowley said. You should know that. Loki's eyes flashed. I do. For a moment, the room felt like it got smaller. Crowley sighed, like he was deciding whether to be generous. Fine, he said. A taste. There's a chapter house site out west. Old men of letters. They hid a vault under a church. Wards on wards. There's a ritual in there they called a window. Sam's eyes widened. Rowena told us that. Crowley's smile turned sharp. Rowena snoops, he said. Shocking. Dean forced his voice steady. Is it real? Crowley lifted his glass. Real enough to kill you if you mess it up, he said. Loki's fingers tapped once on the chair arm. Good, he said. Dean snapped. Not good. Crowley stood. So, he said, you have your little hint. Now give me mine. Dean said, no deal. Crowley's smile stayed. I didn't ask you, he said, and his eyes locked on Loki again. Tell me what you are. Loki looked at Crowley and smiled like a man holding a knife behind his back. You already know the answer, Loki said. I am trouble. Crowley's laugh was soft. True, he said, but I like specifics. Loki leaned forward. Then chase me, Loki whispered. Crowley's eyes narrowed. Excuse me? Loki's hand flicked under the table. The lights in the bar went out. Dean was already moving. He grabbed Sam's arm. Now! A green shimmer flashed near the door. Loki's illusion filled the room with copies of Dean and Sam running in different directions. Crowley's demons, because there were demons. Of course there were, moved wrong. They attacked the wrong shadows. Crowley swore, furious, and his eyes burned red for a moment. Outside, Castiel appeared in a burst of wings and grabbed Dean and Sam, pulling them away from the door as a demon blade cut air where Dean's head had been. Dean's heart slammed. Cass! Castiel hauled them behind the bar building into the dark. Loki stepped out of the shadow a second later, like he had been there the whole time. He was breathing a little harder now. Not scared. Working. Dean shoved him. You almost got us killed. Loki steadied himself, eyes sharp. You were already in danger, Loki said. Now we have information. Sam said, breathless. Crowley knows about the vault. That means he's going to hit it. Castiel's voice was tense. And others will sense it if you open it, he warned. Dean looked at Loki. This is what you wanted, Dean said. A door. Loki's gaze flicked to the highway, to the night sky. A start, he said. Dean hated that Loki didn't look guilty. Sam swallowed. We go first, Sam said. We secure it. We don't let Crowley get it. Dean's eyes hardened. And we don't let Loki use it to blow a hole in the world. Loki smiled thinly. Then stay close, Loki said. Watch me. Learn. Dean muttered. I hate you. Loki's smile turned almost pleased. Not yet, he said. On the ride back, the bunker felt less like a fortress and more like a box. Sam spread maps on the table. He marked roads. He wrote coordinates Rowena hinted at from memory. He cross-checked with Crowley's clue. He found the match, an old church, small town. The building still stood, but it wasn't used much. A men of letters. Chapter House used to sit beneath it. Sam tapped the spot. This is it, he said. Dean looked at Castiel. Can you get us in and out if things go bad? Castiel hesitated. If the wards allow, he said. Dean looked at Loki. And you, Dean said. No going off script. Loki raised a brow. Script, he repeated, amused. Now you speak my language. Dean pointed at him. Don't. Loki grinned anyway. Fine, he said. We will do it your way. We go in. We secure the vault. We take what we need. We leave. Sam watched Loki carefully. And you don't open anything yet, Sam added. Loki's eyes flicked to Sam. Something in him tightened. Then he nodded. Yet, Loki said, echoing Rowena's old word with his own twist. That night, Dean tried to sleep. He couldn't. He kept seeing Castiel frozen like a toy. He kept hearing Gabriel's voice saying this world eats kings. He didn't know if Gabriel meant Loki, or Crowley, or Dean. Down in the library, Loki stood alone between shelves. He touched a book spine, then another. He moved like a man who was used to palaces, not bunkers. His mind kept replaying the theater, Gabriel's power, the way reality bent like it belonged to him. Loki didn't fear power like that. He wanted to understand it, and he wanted to make sure he was never helpless again. A flicker of light appeared behind him, soft and fast. Loki turned, ready. Gabriel stood in the aisle like he had stepped out of a joke. No suit this time, just a casual jacket, hands in pockets, face calm. Loki didn't flinch. You follow me, Loki said. Gabriel shrugged. You're loud, he said. Universe-level loud. It's annoying. Loki's eyes narrowed. Then why are you here? Gabriel's smile was small, almost tired. Because I've seen your type, Gabriel said. The I need a throne type. Loki's voice went cold. I don't need... Gabriel lifted a hand. Don't lie to me, Gabriel said. Lie to them, sure, but not me. I can smell it. Loki stared at him. He didn't speak for a moment. Then he said very quietly, I want choice. Gabriel's expression softened a fraction. Yeah, he said. So did I. Loki's eyes sharpened. You ran, Loki said. Gabriel's jaw tightened. Careful, he warned. Loki held his ground. You are here to warn me, Loki said. Why? Gabriel looked away down the aisle, like he didn't want to say it. Because this world doesn't care how clever you are, Gabriel said. It will grind you down if you play the wrong game. Loki's voice was calm. And what is the right game? Gabriel looked back. Not crowns, he said. Not deals. Not control. Loki's smile was thin. Then what? Loki asked. Gabriel's eyes were sharp and sad at the same time. Family, he said. And you're terrible at that. Loki's face tightened. Anger and something else. Gabriel held up a finger. Also, he added, lighter. Doors between worlds? Bad idea. You open the wrong one, you don't just leave. You invite things in. Loki's eyes gleamed. So it is possible, Loki said. Gabriel sighed. Of course that's what you hear, he muttered. Loki stepped closer. Tell me how, Loki demanded. Gabriel's smile returned, but it was not kind. No, he said. Figure it out. That's the point. Choices have costs. Loki stared. You came here just to say no. Gabriel's eyes met his. I came to say this, Gabriel said. Voice low. If you try to build a throne in their world, you'll break them. and you'll break you, and you won't even notice until it's too late." Loki's throat tightened. He hated how those words hit. Gabriel stepped back. "Have fun, Loki," he said, and his voice went lighter again. "Try not to burn the set down." Then he was gone. Loki stood still in the aisle, breathing slow. He looked at the books again. Doors were possible. But Gabriel was right about one thing. This world did not do clean exits. So Loki made a choice. Not to be good, not to be kind, to be smart. He would find the rules. He would find the safest door. And he would not let hell or heaven hold the key. He walked back toward the war room where Sam's maps waited. "I will direct this," Loki thought, and then hated how much the thought sounded like a prayer. The church sat on a quiet street with cracked sidewalks and old trees. It looked normal. That was always the trick. Dean parked the Impala behind the building. The sun was low. Shadows were long. The air smelled like dry leaves and cold stone. Sam checked the duffel. Salt, holy water, iron, a demon trap paint kit, and a thick folder of copied notes. He looked like a student going to a test that could kill him. Castiel stood near the church wall, eyes scanning. "There are layers," he said. Dean nodded. "Yeah, I feel it too." Loki stepped closer to the church door and studied it like it was a puzzle. "This is a good hiding place," Loki said. "Small, quiet, forgotten." Dean didn't like the approval in his voice. Sam pulled out a key. "We got in through the caretaker," Sam said. "He thinks we're doing a safety inspection." Loki looked amused. "You lie with such plain faces," he said. "I'm almost proud." Dean muttered, "Don't." They went in. The church smelled like old wood and wax, rows of empty pews, a small altar. Dust on everything. Sam found the hidden latch under the last pew like the notes said. Dean lifted the pew with a grunt. A trapdoor creaked open. Cold air rose from below. Dean shined his light down. Stone steps. Darkness. A faint hum like distant wires. "Bunker vibes," Dean muttered. Sam swallowed. "Men of letters," he said softly. Loki went first without waiting, stepping down like he belonged in tunnels too. Dean caught his arm. "No," Dean said. "You don't go first." Loki looked at him, annoyed. "Why?" Dean said. "Because you're the problem everyone's coming for." Loki's eyes flashed. "And you think that makes me less useful," Loki said. Dean didn't answer. He pushed past and went first anyway. Below the church, the air changed. The stone hallway felt older than the building above it. Symbols were carved into the walls. Some were warding marks Dean recognized. Others were strange, thin lines, and circles that felt like math written by madmen. Loki slowed and stared. He reached toward a symbol, then stopped himself. "These are layered," he said. Sam nodded. "They built redundancy," Sam said. "Wards that back up other wards." Dean glanced at Sam. "Say that in English." Sam sighed. "If one fails, another still holds," he said. Dean nodded. "Better." Castiel's eyes narrowed. "These wards are not only against demons," he said. "They are against angels too." Dean frowned. Men of letters really didn't like guests. Loki's mouth curled. "Smart," he said. The hallway ended at a steel door with a symbol in the center. Sam pulled out chalk. He started drawing a devil's trap on the floor in front of it. "Just in case," he said. Loki watched, then cleared his throat. "Your trap is slightly uneven," Loki said. Sam paused. "What?" Loki pointed. "That line is crooked," he said. "If your circle is imperfect, the power can leak." Dean stared at Loki. "Are you seriously critiquing our demon trap?" Loki's smile was bright. "Yes," he said. "Do it again." Dean huffed, but Sam fixed it. The door had no handle, only a slot where something could fit. Sam pulled out an old brass key with carved runes. "This was in the caretaker's safe," Sam said. "He didn't know what it was." Loki's eyes sharpened on it. "That key is not just metal," Loki said. "It is marked." Sam's hands tightened. "Great," Dean said. "Open it." Sam slid the key in. The door clicked, then groaned, then opened like it didn't want to. Inside was a room of shelves and stone tables, books, boxes, glass jars with labels Dean didn't like reading. The air hummed with restrained magic. It was a vault. Sam's voice came out soft. "This is insane." Dean stepped in and scanned corners for traps. "It's men of letters," he said. "Insane is the brand." Loki walked in slowly, eyes wide in a way Dean had not seen yet. Loki looked like a starving man seeing a feast. He didn't touch anything, but his focus was intense. "Here," Loki said, stopping at a stone table. On it lay a leather-bound book with a metal clasp. The clasp had the same rune as the key. Sam moved closer. "That might be it," he said. Dean said, "We take it and go." Sam hesitated. "We should check for protections." Castiel stepped forward, hand hovering over the book. "There is a binding," he said, "and a warning." Loki's gaze flicked to him. "Read it," Loki said. Castiel's voice went quiet. "It says, 'Do not open a window without a frame.'" Dean frowned. "Frame?" Sam's eyes widened as he flipped open another notebook beside it. "It's like a stabilizer," Sam said. "A set of sigils that keeps the tear from spreading." Loki leaned in, hungry. "So it is possible," he murmured. Dean said, "Don't get excited." Loki didn't look at him. "This is what I needed," Loki said, like he couldn't help himself. Sam opened the leather book carefully. Inside were diagrams, not just Latin spells, not just angel sigils. It was a mix, a map of lines and circles. A ritual that linked points like a network. Sam traced a finger over it without touching the ink. "This isn't a normal portal," Sam said. "It's like it piggybacks on existing paths," Dean said. "Say that in English again." Sam took a breath. "It uses hell roots and angel roots," Sam said. "Like roads. It doesn't build a new road, it hijacks one." Dean's stomach sank. "So to go anywhere, we'd have to touch hell," Sam finished. "Or heaven." Castiel's jaw tightened. "That is dangerous," he said. Loki's voice was quiet, almost pleased. "Everything worth doing is dangerous," he said. Dean's eyes snapped to him. "No," Dean said. "Not when it risks other people." Loki held his gaze, and for once his smile didn't appear. "Your rules are emotional," Loki said. Dean stepped closer. "Yeah," Dean said. "They are." "Deal with it." Sam kept reading. "There's a list of materials," Sam said. "Salt, iron, blood." Dean's face twisted. "Blood from who?" Sam's eyes skimmed lower. "It says, blood of the traveler." All three of them looked at Loki. Loki stared back, still. Then he smiled again, slow and careful. "Of course," Loki said. "It needs me." Dean said, "No." Loki's eyes narrowed. "You brought me here," Loki said. "Do not pretend you did not know why." Sam's voice was tight. "We brought you because if Crowley gets this, it's worse." Loki tilted his head. "And if I get it," Loki said, "it could be contained." Dean snapped. "Contained by you?" Loki's smile sharpened. "By us," Loki corrected. Dean almost laughed. It came out like a bitter breath. Then the vault lights flickered. Not electric. These weren't electric. This was warding magic reacting. Castiel's head snapped up. "Someone is near," he said. Dean's heart punched. "Crowley!" Sam grabbed the book. "We have to go." Loki's eyes flicked to the diagrams again, like he didn't want to leave without more. Then he forced himself to step back. Dean moved to the door first. The hallway beyond was darker now. A sound echoed up the steps. Footsteps. Too many. Fast. Dean swore. They're already here. Sam's breath came fast. How? Castiel's face was tense. The key, he said. The door opening may have sent a signal. Dean shot a look at Loki. Loki didn't deny it. He looked annoyed, like the vault itself had tattled. The footsteps stopped. A voice floated down the hallway, smooth and cheerful. Hello, the voice called. Anybody home? Dean's stomach tightened. It was a demon voice, but not Crowley's. A soldier. Dean whispered, Positions. Loki took one step back into the vault and raised his hands. Green light curled around his fingers, tight and ready. Dean hissed, I didn't say magic. Loki whispered back. Then you will die neatly, Loki said. Pick. Dean hated it, but he didn't argue. The first demon appeared in the doorway. He wore a human suit like a costume. His eyes were black. He smiled like he wanted to cut something. Then a second demon. Then a third. They spread out, scanning. Orders, the first demon said, voice bored. Bring the green one. Bring the book. Kill the rest if needed. Dean fired. A demon dropped. Smoking. Salt rounds worked. For a second. Then the demon stood back up, angry. Rude! The demon snarled. Castiel stepped forward and smote him. The demon screamed, body glowing, then collapsed into ash. Dean swallowed hard. Even after all these years, angel power still hit like a bomb. The demons flinched, then they surged. Sam threw a line of salt fast, cutting the hallway in half. 2 demons got trapped on the far side. 1 demon jumped back like it hit a wall. Loki's green light flashed. The hallway stretched. Dean's eyes widened. The doorway suddenly looked farther away than it should, like the hallway doubled in length in 1 second. A demon ran forward and slammed into an invisible wall that wasn't there before. What the? Loki spoke in a calm, clipped voice. Wrong door, he said. The demon swung a blade at empty air. Loki had turned the hallway into a maze of illusions. Not just copies. Angles. Distance. False corners. It didn't change the world like Gabriel did, but it changed what people believed they were seeing. Dean moved with it. He tossed a flask of holy water into a demon's face when the demon stumbled into the wrong opening. The demon shrieked, skin burning. Sam shouted an exorcism. Latin words spilled out fast. The demon's body shook. Black smoke tore out of its mouth. Dean kicked the empty body down the hall. For a moment, they were winning. Then the temperature dropped hard. A bright white flash burned at the top of the steps. Dean's eyes squeezed shut. When he opened them, 2 angels stood in the hallway above, blades in hand, faces hard. Not friendly, not asking. Castiel stiffened. No, he said again, like the word could stop them. 1 angel spoke, voice cold. Castiel, she said, step aside. Dean's stomach dropped. Oh, come on, Sam whispered. They tracked the signal too. Loki stared at the angels, and for the first time since he arrived. He looked uncertain, not scared, but wary. He could feel the difference between demons and angels. This was a different kind of power. Castiel stepped forward, putting himself between the angels and the vault. Leave, he said. The angel's eyes narrowed. You are harboring an anomaly, she said. That is unacceptable. Dean snapped. We're not handing him over. The angel's gaze slid to Dean like Dean was dirt. You are irrelevant, she said. Dean's anger flared, hot and simple. Loki's voice cut in, soft. Careful, Loki said to the angel. He bites. Dean didn't know if Loki meant it as a joke or a compliment, and he hated that too. The angel raised her blade. Castiel moved. He didn't want to fight angels. Dean could see that in his face, but he did it anyway. Castiel's hand shot out. A burst of light slammed into the angel and threw her back against the stone wall. The second angel lunged at Castiel, blade aimed for his chest. Loki flicked his wrist. A copy of Castiel appeared in front of the blade for half a second. The blade stabbed through air. The real Castiel shifted to the side and grabbed the angel's arm. Dean saw it and realized something important. Loki's illusions couldn't overpower an angel, but they could steal half a second. Half a second was life. The demons, seeing the angels, hesitated. They didn't like angel blades any more than Dean did. Then the lead demon snarled, "Forget the angels! Get the book!" Two demons rushed the vault doorway. Sam grabbed the leather book and shoved it into his bag. He backed up fast. Dean threw a salt bomb. The blast hit the doorway. Salt sprayed like shrapnel. The demons screamed and stumbled. Loki's green light flared again. This time, he didn't make a maze. He made a mirror. The doorway looked open, but it wasn't. A demon ran straight into stone and cracked its own nose. It howled in rage. Dean almost laughed, then ducked as an angel blade whistled past his head and cut the air. Everything was chaos. Sam shouted, "Dean, we can't stay here!" Dean yelled back, "I know!" Castiel grappled with one angel while the other recovered. His face was strained now. Fighting angels wasn't like smiting demons. It was harder. It cost more. Loki's eyes darted across the room, assessing. He saw a path. He saw the key slot on the vault door. He saw the book in Sam's bag. He saw the ritual diagrams in his mind, like a map he wanted to crawl into. And he saw something else. A thin crack of darkness in the air above the stone table. It wasn't a full tear. It was a small, hungry ripple. Like the vault itself was reacting to the fighting. Like the ritual was being stirred just by proximity and stress. Loki's breath caught. He could feel it. The window wanted to open. He could use it. He could take the key, cut loose, and slip away in the confusion. For one sharp moment, Loki pictured it. Freedom. No Dean yelling. No salt lines. No bunker rules. Just Loki choosing his own direction. Then Sam screamed. Dean spun. A demon had gotten past the salt. It had a blade. It lunged straight for Sam's side, fast and brutal. Sam tried to move, but he was half trapped between the table and a shelf. Dean was too far. Castiel was locked with the angel. Loki was the closest. Loki moved. He didn't think. He didn't plan. He just moved. He vanished in a green shimmer and reappeared between Sam and the demon. The demon's blade struck Loki across the ribs. Loki grunted. His body was tougher than human, but demon blades were not toys. The cut was real. Loki grabbed the demon's wrist and twisted. Hard. The demon's bones cracked. The blade dropped. Loki drove his hand into the demon's chest and released a burst of green force. The demon flew back, slammed into the stone wall, and hit the floor, stunned long enough for Dean to shoot it with a salt round and finish the job with a knife dipped in holy water. Sam stared at Loki, shocked. "You!" Loki didn't look at him. He pressed a hand to his own side. Blood seeped through his coat. Dean ran up. "Loki!" Dean snapped, then caught himself, angry at the concern that slipped into his voice. Loki's eyes flashed at Dean, irritated with himself more than anything. "Do not," Loki said through his teeth. Dean didn't know what that meant. Don't help? Don't thank? Don't notice? Then the darkness above the table widened. The window opened. It wasn't a bright portal. It was a tear into a place that looked like broken shadows and distant fire. A low sound came out of it, like a far-off crowd screaming underwater. Sam's face went pale. "That's..." Castiel's head snapped toward it. "Close it," he said, voice strained. Dean shouted, "How?" Loki's eyes locked on the tear. He could feel the pull. It wanted to expand. It also wanted to mark whoever fed it. Loki stepped toward it, one hand raised, green light trembling like he was holding a heavy weight. "I can stabilize it," Loki said, voice tight. For a moment. Dean grabbed his shoulder. "No!" Dean shouted. "You don't feed that thing!" Loki looked back at him, eyes sharp. "Then you close it," Loki snapped, "or it will open itself!" Dean's throat tightened. He hated choices like this. He hated being forced. Sam moved fast, flipping through the open vault notebook with shaking hands. "There's a shutdown sequence," Sam said. "A frame collapse. It says we need to break the key and redraw the circle." Dean stared at the brass key in the door. "Break it," Dean said. "Now." Sam ran to it. An angel blade flashed. The second angel, recovered, lunged for Sam. Dean stepped in. The blade cut his jacket sleeve, grazing his arm. Hot pain flared. Dean gritted his teeth and swung his knife. He couldn't hurt an angel much, but he could slow her. Loki's green light flared, and the angel saw 3 Deans at once. She hesitated for a half-second. That half-second was enough. Sam yanked the key out, slammed it down on the stone floor, and stomped. The brass key cracked in 2. The vault trembled. The tear above the table shuddered like a mouth getting slapped. Loki shoved his magic forward, forcing the tear to fold inward. Castiel, still fighting, shouted a word in Enochian, and slammed a sigil into the air with his palm. A bright angelic mark flashed like a stamp. The tear shrank fast, but it didn't close cleanly. A small black shape slipped out at the last second. It wasn't big. It looked like a thin strip of smoke, like a ribbon made of shadow. It whipped through the air and struck Loki's wounded side. Loki gasped. The shadow sank into his skin like it found a home. The tear snapped shut. Silence hit the vault hard. For one breath, nobody moved. Dean stared at Loki. "What was that?" Dean said, voice rough. Loki's hand pressed to his side. He could feel the wound. He could feel the strange cold under it now, like something had hooked into him. "I don't know," Loki said, and he hated saying it. The demons were retreating, not because they were scared of Dean's knife, because angels were present, and demons didn't like sharing a room with heaven's soldiers. The lead demon backed toward the steps, black eyes burning. "Crowley will have you," the demon snarled, pointing at Loki. "One way or another." Then it vanished in smoke. The angels didn't retreat. They stepped forward, blades still up. Castiel turned, face hard. "Enough," he said. The angel who seemed in charge glared at Castiel. "You are obstructing heaven," she said. Castiel's voice was steady. "I am protecting this world," he said. The angel's eyes flicked to the broken key, then to the closed air where the tear had been. "You opened a window," she said. Dean snapped. "We closed it." The angel ignored him. "The anomaly remains," she said, staring at Loki. Loki stood tall even with blood on his coat. His face was calm, his eyes were sharp. He looked back at the angel like she was the one who didn't belong. Castiel lifted his chin. "If heaven wants him," Castiel said, "heaven can come through me." The angel hesitated. Dean didn't know what Castiel did with his voice, but he could feel the weight of it. Castiel wasn't bluffing. After a long, tense second, the angel lowered her blade a fraction. "This is not finished," she said to Castiel. Then she looked at Loki. "You will be accounted for," she said, like it was a promise. The angels vanished in a flash. The vault felt empty in a new way now, like they had been seen. Sam's hands shook as he held the broken key pieces. "We need to go," Sam said. Dean nodded. "Now." They moved fast. Dean and Sam grabbed what they could carry. Sam kept the leather book. Dean grabbed the smaller notebook with the warning about the frame. Castiel swept the room with a last look, eyes tense. Loki took one last glance at the stone table where the tear had been. He wanted to remember the shape of it. He hated that he also felt it under his skin now. They climbed the steps. They slammed the church trapdoor shut. Dean shoved the pew back into place with a grunt. Outside, the air felt too normal again, but Dean knew better. Dean looked at Loki's side. "You're bleeding." Loki's jaw tightened. "Yes," Dean said. "We need to patch that." Loki snapped. "I am not fragile." Dean stepped closer anyway. "Didn't say you were." Loki stared at him, and something flickered behind his eyes. A flash of confusion, like he didn't know what to do with care that wasn't a trick. Sam spoke quietly, still shaken. "Loki," Sam said, "you could have left back there." Loki didn't answer, because Sam was right. Dean watched Loki's face and realized Loki was angry. Not at them, at himself. They drove back toward the bunker under a darkening sky. No one talked much, but the silence wasn't the same silence as before. It wasn't just suspicion now. It was the heavy silence of people who had survived something together. Back in a quiet room far away, Crowley listened to another report. His underling's voice was small. "The angels showed," the demon said. "The hunters took the book. The green one got cut. Something came through before the tear shut." Crowley's eyes glittered. "Something came through," he repeated, pleased. "Yes," the underling said. "It went into him." Crowley smiled like he just received a gift. "Perfect," he said. He set his glass down gently. "Now," Crowley murmured to himself, "I don't have to chase him. I can follow him." In her own hidden place, Rowena sat at a table with a candle burning low. She traced a finger over the green spark that still clung to her chalk circle. She could feel it fading, but the taste remained. She smiled to herself. "You opened it," she whispered. "You actually opened it." Her smile turned sharper. "And you closed it wrong," she added. She leaned back, pleased. "This is going to be fun." Down in the bunker, Sam cleaned Dean's cut arm, then turned to Loki's side. Loki sat stiffly, jaw clenched, eyes fixed on the wall like he refused to admit pain existed. Sam held gauze and looked up at him. "This will sting," Sam said. Loki's voice was flat. "I have been stabbed before," Dean muttered. "Welcome to the club." Sam pressed the gauze in place. Loki hissed, just once, then forced his face back into control. Dean watched him and realized something he didn't like. Loki didn't just get hurt. Loki got marked. Dean didn't know what that meant yet, but he knew it was going to bring hell to their door. And maybe heaven too. Castiel stood near the war room map again, eyes distant. "They are watching now," he said quietly. Dean's throat tightened. "Who?" Castiel looked at the ceiling, like he could see through stone. "Everyone," he said. Loki's eyes flicked to Dean for half a second, then away. Dean didn't know if Loki felt regret. But Dean did know this. Whatever came through that window had changed the rules. And the game was no longer just about keeping Loki contained. It was about surviving what came looking for him next. Days passed. Then more days. The bunker became a routine. Not a safe one, not a peaceful one, but a routine. Dean kept doing what Dean did. He cleaned guns. He checked wards. He walked the halls at night like the bunker might grow teeth if he looked away. Sam lived in books. He copied pages. He translated symbols. He slept in short bursts with his head on paper. Castiel came and went in sudden flashes. When he returned, he looked more tense each time, like he was carrying bad news he didn't want to say out loud. And Loki adapted. He didn't act like a prisoner. He didn't act like a guest. He acted like a man forced into a smaller world who refused to shrink. He took the library as his kingdom, He read like time was a weapon. He learned names, rules, and patterns. He tested small magic in careful ways, like he was feeling the edges of this universe with his fingertips. He also kept bleeding. Not from the wound Sam stitched. That healed. Something else lingered under his skin where that shadow ribbon hit him. Sometimes his side went cold, like a thin winter inside his body. Sometimes his magic flickered the wrong shade, too dark for half a second. He did not tell them everything about that. He hated weakness, even the idea of it. But Dean noticed. Dean noticed because Dean noticed everything dangerous. One afternoon, Dean walked into the library and saw Loki staring at his own hand. Green light danced between his fingers. Then it snapped to black for a blink and snapped back to green again. Dean's voice came out low. "What was that?" Loki closed his hand and looked up. Calm. "Nothing." Dean stepped closer. "That didn't look like nothing." Loki's smile was thin. "Then you were imagining things." Dean didn't laugh. "Try again." For a moment, Loki's eyes hardened. Dean thought Loki might snap back, might throw a spell just to prove he could. Instead, Loki lifted his chin and said, "It is a residue from the window." Dean's jaw tightened. "Residue that turns your magic black." Loki's eyes flashed. "It was a mistake," he said, like the word tasted bad. Dean stared at him. "You don't make mistakes," Dean said. It wasn't praise. It was a warning. Loki's smile vanished. "I make them," Loki said quietly. "I simply don't like them." He turned back to the book like the conversation was finished. Dean didn't push more right then. Not because he trusted Loki, because Dean could see Loki was already pushing himself. Like if Dean pressed the bruise, Loki would swing. And Dean didn't want to fight in a library full of spells. They trained anyway. Not like Avengers training, like Hunters training. Dean taught Loki how to move in tight spaces, how to use corners, how to read a room for traps. Loki didn't like being taught. Loki did it anyway. Loki showed Dean a few things too, without calling them lessons. He showed Dean how illusion could make a demon hesitate, how hesitation could be turned into a kill. He showed Sam how to hear the shape of a sigil, like music. Sam pretended he didn't like the metaphor. Sam used the idea anyway. He showed Castiel something strange. One night, Castiel returned from a trip with a cut on his cheek. It wasn't deep, but it was there, which meant it mattered. Loki noticed immediately. "Angels can bleed," Loki said, voice calm. Castiel looked at him. "Yes," he said. Loki's eyes narrowed. "So you are not untouchable either." Castiel stared back. "No," he admitted. The silence between them was sharp. Two beings who were used to power, both learning limits in different ways. The bunker also got louder. Not in sound, in attention. Phones buzzed. Old contacts called. Hunters asked questions. Most got ignored. And sometimes, at the edge of the wards, there was a feeling, like someone pressing a face against glass. Hell kept sniffing. Heaven kept watching. One evening, Sam laid papers across the war room table. The leather-bound Men of Letters book was open. Diagrams covered the pages like spider webs. Sam tapped a section. "This is the frame," he said. "The stabilizer. It's like a cage you build around a window so it doesn't spread." Dean frowned. "So, build the cage first." Sam nodded. "Yeah, but it needs power. It needs a fuel source." Dean looked at Loki. "Blood," Dean said. Loki's jaw tightened. He didn't flinch. "Mine," Loki said. Castiel's voice was firm. "It is too risky," he said. Loki turned to him. "Everything is risky," Loki said. "But I am not here to rot in your bunker forever." Dean snapped. "Nobody said forever." Loki's eyes flashed. "Then how long?" Loki said. "A month? A year? Until Crowley finds a way to break your walls?" Until heaven decides I am a problem and wipes this place clean. Sam swallowed. We're trying to keep people alive, Sam said. Loki's voice softened a fraction, and that made it more dangerous. So am I, he said. Dean leaned forward. No, Dean said. You're trying to get out. Loki stared at him. Yes, Loki said. And you should want me out too. Dean's mouth twisted. I want you out, Dean admitted. I just don't want a hole in reality in the process. Loki's fingers tapped the table once, like he was holding back impatience. Then we build the frame properly, Loki said. We do it clean. Sam hesitated. We don't know where it goes, Sam said. Even if we stabilize it, it could open to hell. Or something worse. Loki's eyes narrowed. Not if the traveler anchors the destination, Loki said. Dean stared. Meaning? Loki pointed to the page. It says, blood of the traveler, because the traveler is the key, he said. My blood carries the signature of where I come from. Sam's eyes widened slowly. So the window might try to connect back to you. Loki nodded once. Yes, he said. And that is why everyone wants me. Because I am not just power. I am a door. Dean's stomach turned. Great, Dean muttered. You're a walking lockpick. Castiel's gaze sharpened. If you open a path to your world, Castiel said to Loki, you may invite your world's threats here. Loki's eyes flashed. My world has threats, Loki said. So does yours. That is not a new problem. Sam's voice was careful. We need time, Sam said. We need more info. We need to understand what that shadow thing was that hit you. Loki's mouth tightened. It is a mark, Loki admitted reluctantly. A tether. Dean's eyes narrowed. A tether to what? Loki held Dean's gaze. To whoever was on the other side, Loki said. Or to whoever wants to follow. Dean felt cold behind his ribs. Crowley, Dean said. Loki's smile was thin. Perhaps, Loki said. Or perhaps something older. Sam's face went pale. Older than Crowley? Loki didn't answer, because Loki didn't know, and Loki hated that. That night, Dean found himself in the kitchen making coffee that tasted like burned dirt. Loki walked in silently, like a cat. Dean didn't look up. What? Dean said. Loki leaned on the counter. You keep watch like you expect the walls to betray you, Loki said. Dean snorted. They do. Sometimes. Loki watched him for a moment. You do not trust me, Loki said. Dean took a sip, grimaced, and said, No. Loki nodded, like he respected the honesty again. And yet you let me stay, Loki said. Dean's eyes narrowed. We didn't have a choice. Loki's smile flickered. You always have choices, he said. You simply pick the painful one. Dean stared at him. You think you're the only one who's been forced into bad choices? Dean said, voice rising. Welcome to our whole life. Loki didn't flinch. He didn't yell back. He just said, quieter. Then you understand me more than you admit. Dean hated that the sentence landed. Dean set the cup down. Why did you save Sam? Dean asked suddenly. Loki's face tightened. Because he would have died, Loki said. Dean stepped closer. That's not an answer, Dean said. You could have left. You could have taken the book and ran. You didn't. Loki's eyes flashed with anger. Then, for once, something else showed under it. I was in the moment, Loki said, like it bothered him. He was there. The blade was there. I moved. Dean stared at him. You moved, Dean repeated. Loki's jaw tightened. Do not make it into a poem, Loki said. Dean let out a short laugh, surprised. Trust me, Dean said. Not my style. Loki looked away first. Dean watched him and felt a strange, bitter thing. Loki was dangerous. That was still true. But Loki was also lonely. Dean didn't like feeling that. It made things messy. The next morning, Castiel returned with a grim face. "Heaven is debating?" Castiel said. Dean's stomach dropped. "Debating what?" Castiel's voice was tight. "What to do about him," Castiel said, looking toward the library. Sam swallowed. "Meaning?" Castiel didn't want to say it. "Containment," he said. "Or removal." Dean's blood ran hot. "They can't just—" "They can," Castiel said. "They have done worse." Loki stepped into the war room doorway like he had been listening. His face was calm, but his eyes were bright and sharp. "So," Loki said, "the sky wants to judge me." Dean's jaw clenched. "We're not handing you over." Loki blinked once, surprised. Then his expression smoothed again. "How noble," Loki said, voice light. Dean glared. "Don't start." Castiel's gaze stayed on Loki. "There is another message," Castiel said. Dean frowned. "From who?" Castiel hesitated. "From Death," he said. The room went still. Sam's face went pale. "Death is calling," Sam said carefully. Castiel nodded. "Not here," he said. But I felt his attention, like a hand on the back of my neck. Loki's eyes narrowed. "Death," he repeated. "A person." Dean's voice was low. "More like a force," he said. Loki's smile was small. "Good," he said. "I respect forces that do not pretend to be kind." Sam stared. "That's not comforting." Dean's phone buzzed on the table again. A new message. Not from a number. Not from a name. Just words. 2 nights. Midnight. Bring the anomaly. Dean's mouth went dry. "Crowley," he said. Sam leaned closer. "He wants you." Loki's smile widened like he had been waiting for this. "At last," Loki said. Dean snapped. "No. Not at last." Loki turned to Dean. "He wants to bargain," Loki said. "This is where I gain control." Dean pointed at the phone. "This is where you get trapped," Dean said. Loki's eyes flashed. "I will not be caged," Loki said. Dean said, "Everybody says that right before they're caged." Sam's voice was careful. "Crowley's not the only problem," Sam said. "Heaven is watching. Death is watching." Loki's gaze moved across them. "Then we should stop waiting," Loki said. "We should choose the battlefield." Dean felt his chest tighten. Loki was right about that. Dean hated it. They planned. They didn't call it Loki's plan. Dean refused to give him that satisfaction. But Loki's fingerprints were all over it anyway. They picked a location that mattered to Crowley. A crossroads churchyard outside an old town. Wide space. Salt lines could be placed. Devil's traps could be painted under leaves. A place where Castiel could appear and disappear without being boxed in. Sam prepared the ritual frame pages, copied onto fresh paper, so they wouldn't have to risk the original book being stolen. Dean packed everything. More than everything. It looked like a small war. Loki did something Dean didn't expect. He came to Sam one afternoon while Dean was in the weapons room. Sam looked up from the table. "What?" Loki placed a small piece of paper down. On it was a clean, precise drawing of a sigil. Sam's brow furrowed. "What is that?" "A mask," Loki said. Sam blinked. What?" Loki's voice was quiet. "Your enemies track my signature," Loki said. "That mark in me. It pulls. It calls." Sam's stomach dropped. "So what?" "I can hide it," Loki said. "Not forever, but for a short time. This sigil, combined with your warding ink, can blur the trail." Sam stared. "Why are you helping us hide you?" Sam asked. Loki's eyes flicked away, then back. "Because I don't want Crowley finding your bunker," Loki said. Sam's voice went softer. "You care?" Loki's face tightened. "Do not," Loki warned. Sam nodded slowly. He didn't push, but he took the paper. Dean found out later anyway. because Dean noticed the new sigil on the bunker doorframe. Dean confronted Loki in the hallway. "You changed my wards," Dean said. Loki lifted his chin. "I improved them," Loki said. Dean's eyes narrowed. Without asking, Loki's smile was thin. "You would have said no," Loki said. Dean stared at him for a long second. Then he said, "Yeah," and walked away, angry and relieved at the same time. The night of the meet came fast. The air outside was cold. Leaves crunched under boots. The moon was bright and rude. They reached the crossroads churchyard just before midnight. Dean drew salt lines in a wide circle. Sam painted traps under thin layers of dirt. Castiel stood in the shadows, eyes scanning the sky. Loki stood at the center of it all like it was his stage. Dean pointed at him. "No speeches," Dean said. Loki smiled. "That will be difficult," Loki said. Dean glared. "I mean it." Loki's smile stayed. "Fine," he said. "Small speeches," Sam muttered. "Great." Midnight hit. The air warmed suddenly, like someone opened a furnace door. Smoke rolled across the ground. Crowley appeared in the center of the churchyard like he belonged there. Suit perfect, smile perfect, eyes wrong. He clapped once, slow. "Hello, boys," Crowley said. "And hello, darling." His gaze locked on Loki. Loki smiled back. "King," Loki said. Crowley's eyes glittered. "God," Crowley answered. Dean stepped forward. "Say what you want and leave," Dean snapped. Crowley sighed. "Still charming," he said to Dean. Then he looked at Sam. "And you," he said. "Still trying to save everyone." Sam's jaw clenched. "What do you want, Crowley?" Crowley spread his hands. "A deal," he said. "A partnership." Loki's smile widened. "You already offered that," Loki said. "I declined." Crowley's smile sharpened. "Then I'll sweeten it," he said. "I can help you open your little window properly. I have resources, spells, a stable path." Dean's throat tightened. "No." Crowley ignored him again. "And," Crowley added softly, "I can keep heaven off your back. For a price." Castiel's eyes narrowed in the shadows. He didn't like how casually Crowley said that. Loki's voice went quiet. "What price?" Crowley leaned in. "You," Crowley said. "Not as a prisoner, as an associate. You help me manage the chaos. You keep monsters in line. You get a throne beside mine." Dean's skin crawled. Crowley was dangling the word throne like bait on a hook. Loki's eyes flickered. Dean saw it. Loki wanted to laugh. Loki wanted to say yes. Loki wanted control. Sam watched Loki's face too, tense. Loki leaned forward like he was considering it. Then Loki spoke, calm. "You want me as a symbol," Loki said. "To scare rivals. To make your rule look larger." Crowley's smile stayed. "Exactly," he said. "We understand each other." Loki's smile turned colder. "And you will cage me the moment I stop being useful," Loki said. Crowley shrugged. "Naturally," he said. Like it was polite. Dean's anger flared. "This is insane," Dean said. "We're done." Crowley's eyes slid to Dean. "Quiet," he said, and Dean's mouth locked shut. Dean froze. Panic punched through him. He tried to speak. Nothing. Sam's eyes widened. "Crowley!" Crowley waved a hand. "I'm having a private conversation," he said. Castiel appeared in a flash of wings behind Crowley, blade out. Crowley didn't turn. He smiled. "Ah," he said. "The trench coat arrived." Castiel's blade moved. Crowley snapped his fingers. Castiel froze mid-swing, locked in place like someone hit that same awful switch again. Dean's eyes burned with rage, mouth still trapped. Sam's chest tightened. "Stop it," Sam demanded. Crowley sighed. "Honestly," he said, "you people are so dramatic." Loki watched it all with sharp attention. This was a power play. Crowley wanted to show he could control Dean and stall Castiel. Crowley wanted Loki to see the board and pick the safer side. Loki's smile stayed calm. Then Loki spoke, voice light. "Impressive," Loki said. Crowley's smile widened. "Thank you," he said. Loki tilted his head. "You think you have shown me strength," Loki said, "but you have shown me fear." Crowley's smile faltered a fraction. "Excuse me?" Loki's eyes sharpened. "You had to silence him," Loki said, nodding at Dean. "You had to freeze the angel. You did not do it because you can. You did it because you cannot risk them speaking the wrong thing at the wrong time." Crowley's smile hardened. "Careful," he warned. Loki took a small step forward. "A king who needs tricks to feel safe is not a king," Loki said. "He is a man in a chair." Crowley's eyes burned red for a blink. "I will rip." Loki lifted his hand. Green light flared. Not at Crowley. At the ground. The devil's trap Sam painted under the leaves lit up. The lines burned bright, clean, and perfect. Crowley looked down, surprised. Loki's magic didn't replace the trap, it reinforced it. It made it sharper. Crowley's boots hit the boundary and stopped like he hit a wall. Crowley's smile vanished. "Oh," Crowley said, voice low. Dean's mouth unlocked suddenly. "Nice," Dean barked, furious and proud at the same time. Then he caught himself. "I mean, damn it!" Loki's smile flickered like he enjoyed Dean's reaction. Crowley tested the trap edge with one foot. It held. Crowley looked up at Loki. "You planned this," Crowley said. Loki's voice was calm. "Yes," Loki said. "You invited us to your game, so I changed the rules." Crowley's eyes narrowed. "You can't hold me forever," he hissed. Loki nodded. "I do not need forever," Loki said. Sam stepped forward and splashed holy water across the trap line. It sizzled at the edge of Crowley's shoes, not burning him directly, but making him flinch. Sam's voice was steady. "We're not making deals," Sam said. Crowley's smile returned, but it was vicious now. "Then you're making enemies," he said. Castiel unfroze with a sharp inhale. He stepped forward, eyes bright with anger. Crowley didn't look at him. He looked at Loki. "You think you're clever," Crowley said, "but I have something you don't." Loki's brow lifted. "And what is that?" Crowley's smile turned smug. "A leash," he said. Loki's side went cold. The tether under his skin tightened like a hook being pulled. Loki's magic flickered black for a heartbeat. Loki's breath caught. He clenched his jaw, trying not to show it. Dean saw it anyway. "Loki!" Dean snapped. Crowley's eyes glittered. "That little shadow that crawled into you," Crowley said. "It's not just a souvenir, it's a tag. And I've got my hands on the other end." Sam's stomach dropped. "You did that?" Crowley shrugged. "I didn't make it," he said, "but I paid someone who knows how to use it." Castiel's face went hard. "Who?" he demanded. Crowley smiled. Now, he said. "Trade secrets." Loki's face was calm, but his eyes were bright with anger that looked almost pure. "You touched me," Loki said. Crowley laughed. "I touched your mark," Crowley corrected. "And I can pull, and I can find you, and if I can find you, I can find your bunker." Dean felt his blood go cold. Crowley leaned forward within the trap's boundary, face close enough to feel like poison. "So," Crowley said softly, "you can refuse my offer. You can pretend you're free. But every time you blink, I can yank that chain." Loki's jaw clenched so hard Dean saw the muscle jump. Sam whispered, "We need to break it." Castiel's voice was tight. "That tether may be tied to something outside your world," he warned. "Breaking it could open another breach." Loki's eyes cut to Castiel. "Then we cut it clean," Loki said. Dean's mind moved fast. Trap Crowley, break leash, keep bunker safe. That was the whole world right now. Sam grabbed papers from his coat, copied frame diagrams. "We can build a seal around the tether," Sam said, voice shaking. "Like a tiny frame, but inside Loki." Dean stared. "Inside him?" Sam nodded. "It's like quarantining it," Sam said. "Lock it behind a barrier." Castiel's gaze sharpened. "That is possible," he said slowly. "With the right sigils." Crowley laughed like they were adorable. "You can try," he said, "while I call every demon within 100 miles. Dean's eyes widened. "You can't in a trap." Crowley grinned. "I can scream," he said. "And hell listens." The air around the churchyard shifted. A low hum rose, like distant voices waking up. Dean swore. "We don't have time." Loki's eyes narrowed. Then he did something Dean didn't expect. Loki looked at Crowley and smiled. Not a scared smile, not a forced smile. A smile like a knife. "You want to pull my chain?" Loki said softly. "Do it." Crowley blinked. "What?" Loki stepped closer to the trap boundary, hands open. "Pull," Loki said. "Let me feel it." Dean snapped. "Loki, no." Loki didn't look away. "If I feel it," Loki said, voice tight, "I can find it." Crowley's eyes narrowed with suspicion. Then he smiled. "Fine," Crowley said. "Your funeral." Crowley lifted his hand. The cold hook in Loki's side yanked hard. Loki's vision flashed. His magic flared black and green at once. Pain punched through him like a fist inside his ribs. Sam shouted, "Loki!" Dean moved, but Castiel grabbed his shoulder. "Wait," Castiel warned, eyes intense. "He is doing something." Loki didn't scream. He held the pain like he held a spell. He closed his eyes and focused. He felt the tether like a line, like a thread pulled through his body into the world. Then Loki reached for it with his own magic. Not to break it. Not yet. To grab it back. Green light wrapped around Loki's hand and sank into his skin, not hurting him, but sinking inward like it was going into water. Loki's face tightened. Sweat beaded on his forehead. Crowley's smile faded. "What are you doing?" Crowley hissed. Loki opened his eyes. They were bright. "I'm finding the other end," Loki said. Then Loki pulled. Not on Crowley, on the tether. The air behind Crowley rippled. A thin crack opened, small and angry, like the vault tear but narrower. Crowley's eyes widened. "No!" he snapped. Castiel stepped forward instantly. His hand slammed a glowing sigil into the air around the crack. Sam threw salt in a circle under it, fast, precise. Dean grabbed his demon blade and stood between Crowley and Sam like a wall. The crack shuddered, fighting to widen. A whisper came from it. Not words Dean understood, but it sounded hungry. Loki's voice went low. "There you are," he said. Crowley snarled. "Close it!" he shouted, and for the first time Crowley sounded scared. Loki's eyes flicked to Crowley. "You wanted leverage," Loki said. "Now you have invited something you can't control." Crowley's face twisted. "I didn't invite." "You used it," Loki snapped. "That is the same." Sam's hands shook as he drew the frame sigils around the crack in the air, copying what he'd learned. "Hold it steady," Sam demanded. Loki's jaw clenched. "I am," Loki said. Castiel's eyes burned. He poured angelic power into the sigil like a lock being slammed shut. The crack shrank, but it resisted. The whisper grew louder. Dean felt hairs rise on his arms. This was wrong. This was not just demon wrong. This felt like something foreign. Then demons arrived. Smoke burst at the edges of the churchyard. 2, then 4, then 8. They slammed into the devil's trap boundary like wolves hitting a fence. Crowley barked, "Break the trap!" The demons clawed at the glowing lines. They couldn't cross, but they could disrupt. Dean fired salt rounds into heads that got too close. Sam kept drawing, sweating, focused. Castiel held the sigil in the air, face strained. Loki held the tether and the crack with both hands now, like he was wrestling an invisible animal. Crowley watched the scene, eyes darting between demons, Crack, and Loki. His mouth tightened. He realized something. If that crack widened, Crowley might lose control of the entire situation. And Crowley hated losing control more than he loved winning. Crowley lifted his hands and shouted, "Stop!" The demons hesitated. Some flinched. Crowley's voice was sharp. "Retreat!" he snapped. "Now!" The demons hissed, angry, but they pulled back into smoke. Some stayed at the edge, watching. Dean's heart hammered. "Why'd he call them off?" Dean muttered. Sam didn't look up. "Because he's scared," Sam hissed. Crowley turned his attention back to Loki, voice low and furious. "Close it," Crowley demanded. "Close it and we can talk." Loki's face was tight with effort. "I do not want to talk," Loki said. "I want you to let go." Crowley's eyes burned. "I will never," Loki smiled through pain. "Then, you will lose the only leash you had," Loki said. Sam finished the last frame line around the crack. He slapped his palm down on the final sigil. "Now!" Sam shouted. Castiel spoke a harsh Enochian word. The frame lit up like a cage. Bright, clean lines snapped into place around the crack. The crack shrank fast, pulled inward, like someone tightening a knot. The whisper turned into a short, angry hiss. Then it stopped. The air went still. Loki gasped and staggered, almost falling. Dean grabbed his arm and held him up without thinking. Loki froze at the contact. Then he let Dean hold him, just for a second. Crowley stared at Loki like Loki had done something impossible. Loki breathed hard and looked at Crowley with cold satisfaction. "You do not own me," Loki said. Crowley's face twisted. "You don't know what you've just locked inside yourself," Crowley spat. Loki's eyes narrowed. "It is locked," Loki said. "That is enough for now." Crowley's smile returned, thin and ugly. "This isn't over," he said. "It never is." Dean lifted his gun. "You want to test that?" Crowley glanced at Dean with annoyance, then back to Loki. "Enjoy your freedom," Crowley said softly. "It's expensive." Then Crowley vanished in smoke. The demons vanished too, one by one, like a tide pulling back. The churchyard fell silent again. Sam dropped to his knees, breathing hard. "We did it," Sam whispered, shocked. Castiel stepped toward Loki, eyes scanning him. "The tether is contained," Castiel said. His voice held surprise. "It is not severed, but it is bound." Dean kept his hand on Loki's arm a second longer, then let go like he touched fire. Loki stood upright again, forcing control back into his posture. He looked at Sam, then Castiel, then Dean. His face was calm, but his eyes were different. Less playful, more awake. He had felt something on the other side, something not of this world, and now it was locked behind a frame inside him, like a monster behind a door in his own ribs. Sam stood slowly. "So, what now?" Sam asked. Loki looked toward the road, toward the night beyond the churchyard. "I choose," Loki said simply. Dean frowned. "Choose what?" Loki looked at him. "My place," Loki said. Dean's chest tightened. "You're not." Loki lifted a hand. "Listen," Loki said, voice firm. "I will not be dragged by hell. I will not be judged by heaven. And I will not hide in your bunker like a rat." Dean bristled. "Excuse me," Loki continued, calm but sharp. "But," he said, "I also will not bring war to your door." Sam's eyes widened. "What are you saying?" Loki's gaze moved over them. "I will stay," Loki said, "for now. In this world." Dean's jaw tightened. "Why?" Loki's voice softened a fraction. Because my window is not safe yet, Loki admitted. Because something is hunting the crack I made. And because... He paused, like the next part annoyed him. Because you are inconveniently brave. Dean stared, confused and angry. That's your reason? Loki's mouth twitched. It is one of them, he said. Castiel watched Loki closely. You are choosing to help, Castiel said. Loki's eyes flicked to him. Do not label me, Loki said. I am choosing to act. Dean crossed his arms. So what? You're gonna be our roommate forever. Loki's smile returned, smaller now. No, Loki said. I will be an ally when it suits me. Dean huffed. That's the worst deal ever. Loki's eyes gleamed. You survive, Loki said. That is the best deal. They went back to the bunker before dawn. The change didn't happen all at once, but it started. Loki began to follow some rules without being told. He didn't touch Dean's car. He stopped turning weapons into animals. He still teased Dean, but he did it less like a bully and more like a brother who doesn't know he's acting like one. Dean still didn't trust him, but Dean stopped pointing a gun at him every hour. Sam started asking Loki questions without flinching. Not, what are you, questions. How does your magic interact with sigils questions? Sam treated Loki like a dangerous textbook. Castiel watched Loki like a storm cloud. But sometimes Castiel talked to him when no one else was around. Quiet conversations about choice and duty. Loki rolled his eyes and listened anyway. And the world outside shifted too. Hunters stopped talking about green magic like it was a rumor and started treating it like a warning sign. Demons stopped rushing in blindly. They watched. They planned. Heaven stayed quiet, but it was the quiet of a knife held behind a back. Death's attention faded, but not fully. Like a man who closed a book but kept his finger on the page. 1 week later, Dean came into the war room and found Loki drawing a symbol on a small piece of metal. Dean frowned. What are you making? Loki didn't look up. A ward charm, Loki said. Dean blinked. For what? Loki lifted the metal and showed it. The symbol was clean and sharp. For your bunker, Loki said. Dean stared at it. Why? Loki's mouth tightened. Because Crowley threatened your home, Loki said. And I dislike people threatening things near me. Dean's chest tightened. Near you, Dean repeated. Loki glanced up. Do not make it sentimental, Loki warned. Dean let out a short breath that might have been a laugh. Yeah, Dean said. God forbid. Loki handed him the charm. Dean took it slowly. The metal was cold in his palm. Solid. Real. Dean didn't say thank you. He just nodded once, sharp like he was accepting a weapon. Loki's eyes softened for half a second. Then the mask returned. That night, the bunker was quiet. Sam fell asleep at the table again. Dean covered him with a blanket without thinking. Castiel stood by the map, listening to distant things, but his posture was less tense than before. And Loki stood in the library alone. He held the copied ritual pages in his hand, the window diagrams, the frame notes, the future. He could keep working. He could keep trying to build a clean door. He also could leave now in other ways. Not home, but away. He could vanish into the world, hide, build power in secret. He didn't. He walked to the bunker's main ward line and placed the little metal charm Dean had accepted. He pressed it into the groove where ward marks ran through stone. Green light pulsed once, gentle, controlled. The ward line hummed, stronger. Loki stepped back and looked at it like he was judging a finished piece of art. He felt the tether inside him. Contained behind the frame, he felt the danger still there. He also felt something else, a strange, stubborn pull that had nothing to do with magic. A pull toward people who yelled at him, argued with him, and still stood beside him when hell tried to yank his chain. Loki didn't like that feeling. It made him vulnerable. It also made him less alone. He turned and walked down the hall. Dean was leaning against a doorway, arms crossed, like he had been there a while. "You're up late," Dean said. Loki's smile was faint. "So are you," Loki said. Dean nodded at the charm in the wall. "That for us?" Dean asked. Loki's eyes narrowed. "Do you want me to remove it?" Loki asked. Dean held his gaze. "No," Dean said. "Just wanted to know." Loki nodded once. "Then yes," Loki said. "It is for you." Dean's jaw worked like he wanted to say something and hated the words. Finally, Dean said, "You're still a pain in the ass." Loki's smile widened a little. "And you're still loud," Loki said. Dean huffed. "Fair." They stood in silence for a moment. Not friendly, not enemies, something in between. Loki looked down the hallway toward the sleeping bunker, the quiet rooms, the lives inside. Then he looked back at Dean. "I am still Loki," he said, voice low and clear. Dean nodded like he understood that mattered. Loki added, softer, almost annoyed at himself for saying it. "I'm just not alone." Dean didn't smile, but he didn't argue. And in the deep stone of the bunker, the wards held steady. Outside, the world kept moving. Hunters hunted. Demons plotted. Heaven watched. And somewhere, far away, a king in hell smiled into the dark, already planning his next move. Because in this world, nothing ever truly ended. It only changed shape. And now, the shape included a god with green magic, a mark locked behind a frame, and a choice he had finally made on purpose.